Here we are. We're busting diabetes myths today and answering questions. I love answering questions. So make sure to write them in the chat box. I believe we're live on Instagram. So let me go over there and make sure that I am looking at the comments. Okay. On Instagram. There we go. All right, perfect. So let me know where you're coming from. What type of diabetes are you living with? We're here to bust some myths. Okay. So this is our book. It's titled Mastering Diabetes. The subtitle is The Revolutionary Method to Reverse Insulin Resistance Permanently in Type 1, Type 1.5, Type 2, Prediabetes, and Gestational Diabetes. So put your questions in the chat box. The number one myth, which continues to show up in my life every single day in some of the most hilarious ways, is people going to their doctor and hearing the number one thing you got to do to lower your blood sugar is reduce your carbohydrate intake. Lower the carbs. You got to go low carb. That's what you have to do. It's the number one myth. It's just happening over and over and over again. And the real advice should be eat more whole carbohydrates and reduce your fat intake, particularly your saturated fat intake. That's what the doctors would be saying if they read our book and looked at this research of low-fat, plant-based, whole food nutrition. So we're here together to address these myths. Go ahead and write your questions in the chat box. Someone says, how do we get enough protein? This was Linda on Instagram. Okay, so there's so much confusion around protein. And I want you to gain and just like insane level of confidence that you are getting more than enough protein. And so here's what I recommend. If I just come on the show here and tell you, oh, look, like protein deficiency is not a thing. And I could give you all the standard lines, and that really, I don't think that's going to necessarily solve your problem here. Everybody's concerned about protein. So what I want you to do is own this topic. And what you do is you start putting your food into nutrition logging software. Put it into Chronometer. Put it into MyFitnessPal, whichever one you want to use, okay? Any of them are fine. And start getting really clear about how much protein you're consuming, okay? I use Chronometer. That's the nutrition logging app that I use. And I can see in there every single, the amount of each amino acid that I'm consuming. If you want to look into that level of detail and then do a little research, you could just own this topic. I really want everybody to just put this to rest. Own the topic. Figure out how much protein do you need. You could easily Google and find that answer. Okay. What are the government recommendations? Start there. Okay. And then even if you want to go and let's say you look at some fitness influencer and they're ripped and they're jacked and they're saying, oh, you need this amount of protein, this amount of protein. Pretty much you could get about any amount of protein that you want while following a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet. You could tweak it in a million different ways to get what you want and just put this thing to rest. You can adjust your bean consumption. You can adjust your quinoa consumption. You can adjust your coconut water consumption. Coconut water is actually a pretty good source of protein, believe it or not. You could tweak your hemp seed consumption. Like this topic, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts that we are still worried about protein, but it's just so simple to put to bed because you can objectively look at what you're consuming. You can modify things. You can tweak things until you are happy, and then put it to rest, and then go and do the real work, which is go to the gym and start lifting and doing some resistance training. That's what really matters. Okay. That's what really matters. And you know what? Go ahead and add some protein powder if you want to. Like there are so many people out there. This is just an honest conversation today. There are so many people out there making excuses for all these little topics, which is just avoiding paying attention to the things they know they really need to do, right? People are worried about protein, questioning protein when they know they're still eating garbage food. They know they're not exercising enough. They know they're not sleeping enough. Like they know they're having too much saturated fat. then and you're worried about protein. I mean, it is crazy. It is crazy. A lot of what needs to happen when it comes to becoming more insulin sensitive and getting to your goals in health and fitness, a lot of it you already know, you're just not doing it. That's facts. Okay. So it's time to take some action. All right. Blood work shows pre-diabetes 3 months ago. She lost 30 pounds since July. That's huge. I love that. I love that. All right. What's happening on Instagram? Added hemp protein powder. It's totally okay. All right. Hemp protein powder is no problem. If you're going to add protein powder, try and add one that has just to be clear, I don't consume any protein powder. I get more than enough protein from eating whole foods. And I can see that through my software. I can see that through my athletic performance. I completed 3 Ironmans last year. I just won a 10K race. I did that in 40 minutes and 38 seconds, a 6:30 pace. I'm progressing in all of the athletic endeavors I'm having without any protein powder or focusing on protein. So I'm not saying you need protein powder, or am I suggesting that you add protein powder? I'm telling you that if you are sitting here concerned about protein, that's your fear, that's your worry, and that's somehow inhibiting you from staying committed to a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet, then just put it to rest, put in some scoops of protein powder and move on. If you're going to put in protein powder, then just use one that's very clean. Like, you should be able to read every single ingredient. Ideally, it should have one ingredient. If you want hemp protein, it should just be hemp. That's the only ingredient. Pea protein, just buy pea protein powder. Okay? Keep it simple. Keep it simple, guys. Let's see. What other comments do we have here? It's hard to distinguish between the amount of saturated fat and total fat. So yes, in this book, we have a whole chapter, a lot of details about fat in this book. We do talk about trans fat being the worst, and then saturated fat being the second worst culprit for insulin resistance. But when we say 30 grams of fat per day, we are talking total. We are not distinguishing in that case. When we're saying don't exceed 15% of total calories from fat, we're talking total fat there. Okay? So just to be clear, and again, the thing I love about diabetes, the thing I love about insulin resistance is how objective this is. I encourage anybody out there if you're skeptical, if you don't believe it, I hear you. I feel you. I understand why you would be based on what's happening on the internet out there. We're talking about busting myths today, okay? I get it. But be willing to do an experiment and watch as your mind will be blown. Just watch, okay? Follow the meal plan in this book. So it's a 21-day meal plan in here. Once you get to week 3, so the first week is you're just changing breakfast. And then for lunch and dinner, in the book, we just say unchanged. We just say basically do nothing. Let's see if I can find one of these meal plans in here. Here we go, right here. Boom, right? So week 1, see if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that, okay? You see how in column, let's see, that'd be column C and D, the last 2 columns, you can see it says the same word over and over again. It says no change, okay? No change. And then we said, well, we encourage you to make step-by-step changes and incorporate only Mastering Diabetes approved meal at a time. We also encourage you to modify other meals to include more green light foods in substitution for yellow and red light foods. During weeks 1 and 2, you might find opportunities where this is possible before you have actually changed all of your meals. Substituting as little as 1 green light food for a yellow or red light food can have a tremendous effect on your insulin sensitivity in the short and long term. All right, so you follow the meal plan, you take it easy. Once you get to week 3, when you get to week 3 here, okay, this is week 3. We're giving you all the recipes to eat for the entire week here. All right, see if you can see that. Okay, at that point, you will be eating no more than 30 grams of fat in a day. Right? We did the work for you. You will be eating meals that have the appropriate amount of greens and non-starchy vegetables. We did all the thinking for you. You just eat the meals. Once you get to that week, just watch. You're going to be blown away. You'll have more carbohydrate than you've ever had, most likely. And your blood glucose is going to be coming down. Your weight's going to be coming down. If you're using diabetes medications, you're likely going to see a reduction. If you're using blood pressure medication, you're likely going to see a reduction. All right? So put it to the test. Somebody says, can you just start on week 3? You absolutely could. You absolutely could. Some people experience a little bit of challenges in their gut microbiome when making such a rapid change, but you certainly can. And Cyrus and I wrote about this in the book. We shared that when we transitioned, we did both go overnight. We went overnight and we never looked back. So if that's what feels right to you, go ahead and do it. You'll adjust over time. You'll get it right. All right. So we're busting myths today. We're busting myths. Somebody says my triglycerides have gone up since starting plant-based. So triglycerides usually normalize in 6 to 12 months. I highly recommend working with a plant-based physician who understands the details. Love Life Telehealth is an organization you can work with. Just type in Love Life Telehealth, and you can have a plant-based doctor who fully understands the nuances. It likely will normalize, but every biomarker that's out of range should be addressed with a qualified medical professional. All right. There could be nuances about your health that I don't understand. All right. So I would take it seriously, and I would make sure you're talking to your doctor about it. But just know that a lot of people, we've seen this, it normalizes. All right. Amla Green still keeping me on my 0 illness streak. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Amla Green right here. This is the one I consume every day. This is the hibiscus flavor. This one is caffeine free. All right. So this has amla. Okay. It has hibiscus. It has ginger. It has cinnamon. And it has mint. That's everything that's in this. And amla berries are the most antioxidant rich whole food on the planet. There's no whole food that has more antioxidants than amla berries. And that's also known as Indian gooseberries. And we put it in the form of a tea. I don't consume caffeine, so this is the one that I like. For those that do consume caffeine, you can get amla plus oolong green tea. And we also have coffee. For those who consume coffee, a high quality coffee with amla as well. So it's called Amla Green, AMLA Green. You can get it on amlagreen.com. You can get it on Amazon. It's powerful. It's a powerful medicinal plant. There's plenty of research showing that even just using amla saw beneficial, there's beneficial impacts on cholesterol, on blood glucose, on blood pressure. With that said, we're not suggesting that you just only do this. We're suggesting that you add medicinal plants and you change your diet. You put the two together, that's the powerful impact. All right. Good morning. I'm type 2. I've been following your principles for weeks now. I'm confused on HO2. Okay. I'm not sure what you're confused about, but we're here to help. I'm new here. So you're suggesting a vegan lifestyle. So in this book, we cite over 800 scientific references, and we are bringing to the forefront the peer-reviewed literature, which describes how a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet helps you maximize insulin sensitivity. All right. The wealth of the research, there are many studies where humans included small amounts of animal products. All right. So personally, I choose not to. We have a lot of research showing that there's a lot of benefits to not doing so. But for if you're just new here and you're just starting out and you're thinking about getting going, I wouldn't get lost in that detail. Right. Let's move towards more plants as you march towards your goals. And let's just focus there. Like people, I love these questions. I love coming on here. I love answering all these questions, but I have to tell you, a majority of these questions are insignificant and they're a distraction from what really matters. It's always these little minor things that people want some clarity on. And it's a distraction from just doing all the other things properly, right? The things you already know to do. That's the key here. So if you had a small amount of animal products over the course of a year, like, is that going to necessarily be the reason of why you didn't reverse type 2 diabetes or did? Absolutely not. It's what you do predominantly. It's what you do predominantly. That's what matters. And do you do it consistently? Okay. All right. A close friend is diabetic and now kidney damage on dialysis. How can she eat plant-based? All right. So if you're on dialysis, you got to work with a physician to figure out how to properly incorporate more plants. You have to work with a qualified medical physician at that time, medical professional, no question. All right. And that's what you do that through Love Life Telehealth. Love Life Telehealth. What is considered breaking the fast in the morning? Is the first drink. If you want to do fasting, you can drink amla during a fast. So some people have found that it does help curb their appetite, gives them a little bit of flavor, and helps them with their intermittent fasting. So some people have described this as intermittent fasting fuel. So it's really powerful stuff. All right. Why do some large health organizations suggest replacing saturated fat, unsaturated fats instead of more carbohydrates? Okay, Bob, great question. So the research, if you look at the research, it's very clear that when people do exactly what you just said, you replace saturated fat with unsaturated fat, you see benefits. It's great. It's fantastic. We're here for the benefits. If you want to take it another level, it would be better to replace those unsaturated fats with whole carbohydrates. And so in our coaching program, the work we're doing is we're helping people see through their goals. That's what we're here to do. You might get the result you want by doing exactly, let's say, Bob, you're thinking about one particular study, and let's say they had a protocol, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do what that study said. And you get all the results you want. Fantastic. Like, that's awesome. Like we're not the food police. We're not telling you anything you're doing is wrong. You should do something different. We're just here to help people who have not reached their goal. Like your A1C is high and you want to fix that. We're here for you. You haven't lost the weight that you wish you could lose. We're here for you. Your blood pressure is still high. Your cholesterol is still high. You haven't found a solution. We have a system, a very clear system that works, and you can decide how far to take it. And if you want to just simplify your life, you could just follow the system. It could be that simple. You could literally just eat the recipes in the meal plans and not even think twice about it. Or you could keep it as simple as just eating the green light ingredients with a very small amount of yellow and no red. You can keep it that simple. I very rarely eat recipes. And actually a lot of people who do our program end up just learning how to just make bowls of green light ingredients. It can be that simple. I'm confused on how I eat the same exact meal and get different glucose readings. Yesterday I woke up with 107. Okay, Roddy. There's a lot of factors that impact blood glucose levels. A lot of factors. Now, fixing your diet is number one. That's paramount. But there's so many other things. I'm blanking on the name of the organization, but there's this one really good organization that put together a fascinating PDF of like all the different factors that impact blood glucose readings. And it was really good. It was very comprehensive. I think they came up with like 42 things. Let me just Google this. 42 things that impact blood sugar. Let's see if I'm remembering this right. Yeah, diatribe. This is good. 42 factors that affect blood glucose. It says a surprising update. What's the update? I'm just Googling this. I haven't been on this website for a long time, but I think this organization does great things. Maybe they just add some insights, but just for fun, let's just share our screen. Let's see, present, share screen, share, 42 factors. Okay. I thought this was good work here, right? They had the list of food factors. They have a list of medications that can impact your blood glucose levels. They have how activity could impact your blood glucose. There's biological things like too little sleep, stress, the dawn phenomenon. This could be an air infusion sets if you're using insulin, allergies, smoking, menstruation, celiac disease. There's environmental things that could happen. Maybe one of your medications is expired. Maybe you got sunburn. Maybe there's altitude, the temperature outside. There's like a lot of factors, a lot of different factors here. Okay. So you got to, take them into account and make the best decisions possible. All right. Let's see. We're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but someone says, read your book, then read Sun, Steak, and Steel. Totally different theories, supposedly both backed by science. So confusing. All right. So here's how you end the confusion. It is very, so here's the narrative, guys. Here's the narrative. The narrative is that if you eat more carbohydrate, your blood glucose is going to go up and your insulin requirements are going to go up. Okay? That's the story. Okay? So if you choose to be like, you know what, I'm going to find out what's up with the Mastering Diabetes guys. I'm going to find out if this is actually true or not. Okay? And then you go ahead and just do this, like really, really do it. And you see that narrative does not come true. Let's say you tested your fasting insulin. Let's say you just are using insulin, right? And you go and you do this method, and all of a sudden you actually eat more carbohydrate. Your blood glucose is coming down, your weight's coming down, your medication use is coming down. All of a sudden, it's like your own body is telling you the answer. Your own body's telling you the answer. In this book, we also went through all the confusing stuff that's going on when it comes to comparing, low carb and low fat studies. We've addressed all that confusion. What's happening is what they call low fat diet is not actually a low fat diet. That's the mistake that happens over and over and over again in the peer-reviewed literature. Okay, so this book, clear plan, clear outline, give it a shot, see it happen in your own body, and then I would trust what your body's telling you. All right. So thanks for joining. Hope you guys have a great day. And we have another show happening on Friday, same time, same place. I'll catch you all later.